Good morning, everyone. It's December 22nd, 2018. I'm Eric. U.S. Navy veteran has a message for the socialists working to destroy America. Be careful what you wish for. The Yellow Vest revolution against socialism and globalism has arrived in America. Not sure I buy that, but let's go through this and see what happens. This is from John C. Valesky, or something like that. Retired U.S. Navy. Your liberties rest not upon things written upon paper. They depend upon yourselves and upon maintaining your property, your knowledge, and your virtue. Samuel Williams, 1794. Less than a week ago, I read this column that was written by Sheriff David Clark on Town Hall that made me think over what I have seen in politics over the past few years. Now, Sheriff Clark, he's nothing more than a statist stooge for the conservative branch of the government. But I digress. I have followed Sheriff Clark for a while now, and I can honestly say this man who speaks for me, or I can honestly say it is this man who speaks for me. Why can't you speak for yourself? You need a pig like Sheriff David Clark to speak for you? How fucking weak is that? Damn son. How weak is that? You need somebody else to speak for you. And from the following that Sheriff Clark has amassed, it would appear that others follow him as well. And we are nothing but a nation of followers. Follow, follow, follow. Follow Trump. Follow Clark. Follow whatever next asshole is there to rip the rights from you. The reason, you see, the dude don't even know how to write. The reasons are varied, I'm sure. But the truth that Sheriff Clark's speech should be a starting point for all patriots. No, it shouldn't. Because law enforcement and freedom are two opposing forces. Law enforcement and freedom cannot exist in the same country. In his column, Sheriff Clark speaks of an original ground-level force, or organized, rather, ground-level force of conservatives who speak the truth and fight back against what the progressive socialists have done to this country. Now, they don't speak the truth, because if they did, they would admit that the conservatives, the Republicans, are just as guilty of many horrible crimes as the progressive left. This is a war that is being forced upon our country by progressive socialists who want nothing more than to destroy our way of life, our moral underpinnings that have shaped our country and the very country itself. Well, see, that's what conservatives were supposed to be for. They were there to conserve what the founding fathers had envisioned, but this is not the case. They should no longer be conservatives because they have not conserved anything. These conservative fighters can only come from patriots who are willing to help our duly elected president put an end to the progressive socialist lies of the mainstream media and the leftists in our government that would like nothing more to impeach the only man who can stop the destruction they have started. And no, he can't. One man isn't going to be able to stop the destruction that's been started. It's going to take all of us to stop it. Donald Trump can't stop shit. The rules governing our politics have changed. Lies, innuendo, and the constant threat of violence from these progressive socialists are all they have to offer. And let's be honest here, the state itself is a constant threat of violence. I mean, after all, if you disobey one of the whims of the parasite politician, armed thugs are liable to come to your door, cage or kidnap, cage, assault, and maybe even murder you. So these people have no right to talk about the violence from the other side when they don't even recognize the violence from their own side. When talking to one of these George Soros-funded fascists, I always ask the same question. What are you proposing to have as a policy that will help the citizens of this country move forward? The answer is always to call me a racist. And yes, the word racist has lost all of its meaning because it's been overused and weaponized. And to attack by any means possible, usually in a mob, to protect themselves. Alright. The propaganda and lies promoting everything that these animals have in store for the country is everywhere, from the mainstream media to our children's education to entertainment and every other facet of our daily lives, and they can infiltrate. They have every intention of making violence an aspect of the conservatives' everyday lives. You mean like the police make violence an aspect of the citizens' everyday lives? You mean like that? Again, how do these people have a right to even exist, let alone do some of the things they do, when they don't have the right to do it in the first place? Where do these extra judicial rights come from? We must understand that it has gone far past having disagreements of policy, and that with groups like Antifa, Media Matters, and even some of the mainstream media, all funded by the globalist agenda that both parties adhere to, they're right there. Right there. So he's blaming only progressives, liberals, but right here he admits both parties adhere to these globalist policies. Resorting to public displays of intimidation and violence, like the police, it is up to us to fight back. And I agree. I agree, it is up to us to fight back, but we need to be fighting the entire thing, the whole thing. The law enforcement apparatus, the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, all of it. One by one, or in groups, it will come down to clearing our streets of this vermin. And we need to be clearing our capitals, our state capitals, our nation's capital of the vermin as well. But this guy won't go that far. He won't admit that both sides are the problem. It takes both sides to pass this legislation. It takes both sides to cooperate with each other. So I don't see how this dude can only blame progressives. The higher ideals that conservatives pride themselves on will not work against the rage that is becoming an everyday occurrence. And I would like to know what these higher ideals are that conservatives supposedly hold and pride themselves on, because I can't tell. Progressive socialists don't understand that the self-ingrained thoughts of them being superior and therefore have a right to demand that we follow the rules they proclaim will no longer work. And the same could be said for the government as a whole. Right? They use such phrases as white privilege, microaggression, safe spaces, and systemic racism as the buzzwords of no meaning that they attempt to use to shut down debate. I will not allow the loud voices or the mob rule to control what I say or do or think. Once they shut down all debate, it will only be a short step to total dominance against those who disagree. And that's what happens with the government. Total dominance against those who disagree. I never signed a contract saying I would obey thousands of laws. Never. But somehow, dominance, total dominance against us is being used. It's because we don't have a constitutional republic. We don't even have a country. We have a corporation. I will never apologize to those attempting to force the opinions that I know are wrong, no matter who they are, whether a government entity who insists them or the mob in the street who attempts to intimidate people wearing a MAGA hat. Well, what if it's your beloved president there? Are you going to tolerate it from him? Because I'll tell you what, a lot of shit that so-called conservatives freaked out about when Barack Obama did it is being done, and they have nothing to say about Trump doing it. Or an official who is only doing the job they were elected to do. You see, that only doing their job shit was tried back in Germany. The Nuremberg trials wasn't acceptable for them, so I don't see how it could be acceptable for politicians and law enforcement in this country. Keep in mind the rabble who look to overthrow our government and way of life are a minority of maybe 10%. But the violence and shooting and following the path set out for them by the globalists in charge, they appear on the mainstream media regularly. Just a few months ago, we should remember that the puppets on CNN were comparing Antifa to the Battle of Normandy. Yeah, that's a little stupid, isn't it? So call me what you want, racist, homophobe, or any other phrase you think will make a difference. It won't. I know better because I am better than that, and I realize most of the people in this country are. Except for they're not. So take your paid for politicians and your corporatists, puppet masters, and fuck off. Your agenda for destroying those patriots who will fight and fight harder than you with courage and patriotism in our hearts will never give in. But we have. They have given in. They've given in. They've given in. This is a lie. We will never stop beating back the globalist socialism you think we deserve, whether you are just a stupid, self-centered teenager who thinks you are making a difference, to the boardroom and meeting places of the globalist and political elite. Remember, dude, your president is a member of the political elite. But this guy goes on and on and on about how conservatives are so much better than leftists. And really, they're not. They're the same authoritarian tactics used on both sides, and no matter who's in charge, we will be forced to acquiesce to their rules, even though none of us was born and signed a contract saying we would do so, obey. Have we? Anyway, I thought I'd share this with you. I hope all of you have a great day. And if I don't see you between now and then, I hope everyone has a great Christmas as well. Till next time, kill the state, live free.